Today we will be cleaning and servicing this small, I don't know if this is a Lasko or a Galaxy branded one. The badge is gone. It's an odd one because when I picked it up, this was a curbside pickup, it didn't work. And then last week I got it out to attempt to repair it, and when I plugged it in, it worked. I didn't change anything, so I don't understand it. Let's see if it's still working. It's been sitting on the bench disassembled for about a week. The cord is ridiculously short. It's probably not even 4 feet long. It's still working. It's a terrible fan, but it works. So, first thing we're going to do, which is our new standard cleaning procedure, is we're going to take the guards over to the dishwasher and clean the guards off. Before we do that, let's take this piece of whatever this is off of here. In the interest of time and unlikeliness to reuse it, we'll just cut it off. And before I put stuff into the dishwasher, I like to make sure that we just vacuum off any pieces of like hair and so forth, because that can get clogged in the dishwasher pump filter. The dishwasher is fantastic, but for non-biodegradable and non-compressible stuff, shouldn't be going down there. So we'll just vacuum this off right quick, and then we'll put it in there. And it's nice because now, while that's doing the tedious work for me, I can work on a different part of the unit. I know I have another one of these vacuums somewhere. I really need to find it and get it set up for use down here, because this is the one that I use on like the furniture and the couch and stuff. And it's kind of, the brush gets all dirty when I'm doing this, and I gotta clean it off. But anyways, that's clean now. So let's go ahead and load this into the dishwasher. I'm going to leave the utensils tray in here. It's kind of dirty on the back where the water never hits it. I'm hoping if we just stick it up here for a second or two, it'll kind of clean off. Alright. This is going to be just a hair or two till it'll go like that. See, something like that we don't want in there. A little bit of store brand. Oh no, it just broke. Was everything going to break today? And then what I think is really doing the magic is the DSP. Okay, and I like to run the hot water until it gets hot, which won't take long because the boilers is just on the other side of the room. It's warm, it's hot, and it sounds like one of the pipes is coming loose somewhere. Thought I took care of all that. Maybe not. Alright, so let's turn this on. Do normal. We don't want no heated dry. We want as little extra heat as possible. And we'll do a power scour. Go. Start. And that will perform a task which is usually very tedious and time consuming that I dreaded doing before. As we disassemble this, I'd like to see if we can determine why it stopped working the first time, because as of now, I have no idea, and since I don't know what was wrong with it, I don't know how it got fixed, and it might not really be fixed. The problem might come back, you know, if it's a loose connection or something. So, we'll see. It's definitely high hours. Very, very dirty. What that is, there's like some papers or something on there. Yeah, this is really stuffed with dust. Pretty bad. It looks like this was almost used with drywall dust. You know, a lot of people use these older fans for some kind of project and then throw them out afterwards. That's probably what happened with this one. I just don't understand what the cause was for it to stop working. Try to brush off as much of the thick dirt as possible. Put the vacuum on, because the sink at the cleaning area has a sewage filter. Not sewage filter. It's a sewage pump because it's below the output for the sewer. It's not a macerator pump, so you don't want to be putting chunks of stuff down that thing either. very dry dust. It's coming clean very easily, which is nice. A lot of times you get this sticky dust from kitchens or what have you in here, and it takes a long time to get the dust out of there. This should come up pretty easy. And it might actually look fairly decent behind all this grime. You know, there's definitely some surface rust here on the bottom, but the outside might not be too bad. Very yellowed switch, which is odd because nothing else is really yellow down here that bad. Now I'm curious, now that we've kind of jostled everything around a bit, is it still in working order? Sure the heck is. That's a mystery to me. I have absolutely no idea why it didn't work when I first got it. Absolutely no idea. Surprised it hasn't broken here yet. That's a very stark flex point. I guess there's no reason to play with that because this got a decent amount of lead on there. We can just keep the motor on the table. Alright, so it looks like try from the other side. Okay, there must be another, there's a bolt that goes on the other side of that too, okay. Is this polarized? It's not polarized. So I suppose the easiest thing to do here would just be take the wires out of the switch. I need a piece of wire. So now the motor can be separated from the unit. Clean this all at the cleaning area along with the blade. And then we can work on the motor over here. It's funny, the front of the motor looks really nice still. In very good condition inside of there. The shaft has got a lot of hair on it. And it is pretty dirty, so I think we're going to try to turn this on and clean it up a little bit first before we take it apart. Yeah, it's not a good surface to slide the bearings off of. I don't like playing with these switches. I don't have the best success with taking the wires in and out. I've been able to do it once so far, and we're going to have to push our luck and do it again. Well, I just realized I don't have my, where's my sanding paper? is. Motor's got some torque to it. Alright, that's a good surface to work with to take the bearing off of. This switch must be considerably better quality than the ones made more recently, because these wires, I shouldn't speak too soon, but these wires seem to be pretty content coming in and out. I think this is primarily just press fit together. So it looks like the windings are going to be probably stuck to the back. Wow, this is going to be a tough one. This is really, really stuck in there. It's not even budging anywhere. Wow. That's not good. This currently has zero interest in coming apart whatsoever. And there's no oil ports, so we really need to get it apart. Alright, we're starting to make some progress here, but not much. I wonder if this is like rusted or glued. Okay, there we go. So that's what I expected. The front would come off and then the back would be stuck on. It's kind of odd. It's like painted a different color. It's a weird finish too. Alright, so now this is the most stressful part of this operation, is we have to extract the stator so we can clean and oil the back portion of this. And that's not going to be fun. This is a very delicate operation, because if we slip and slice through the windings, we're done. I mean, I suppose what we could do is we could just clean it with compressed air and be done with it. We kind of have enough access to do that, and I feel like that might be the best option. We'll try this a little bit, and if it doesn't seem like it's interested in coming out, which I don't think it will be based on how tight it was initially, then we'll just clean it with compressed air. Oh, actually, it might be. It might come out. Yeah, it's gonna come out, I guess. Okay. Huh. Well, that was ridiculously easy. See, it's always worth trying, because you never know. So it looks like this has a thermal fuse right there, so it's unlikely that well, it wouldn't have been a thermal issue in the first place, because I didn't test it, you know, the second it was on the curb. I tested it probably days later, so it wasn't a thermal issue, and if it was, it would have been tripped. This doesn't seem like it was running very hot. We have multiple wire tie wraps in here that are not crusty, and there's definitely a decent amount of dust in here, but I don't think that was our problem. Seems like a reasonable quality motor. Windings are tied up pretty well. There's one loose winding right here, or one loose wire right there, which is a problem. Since it's very kind of dirty and not going to come super clean without doing extensive cleaning methods, I think I'm just going to take a wire tie and stick it around there. That should hold it in place enough to not be a problem, because we just don't want that wire to be able to vibrate around in there. Actually, that's pretty bad. It's loose everywhere. Really probably should be varnished. I don't see any other areas that are too crazy. Okay, that's pretty clean. I gotta think about what we should do with this. We have multiple loose wires to evaluate here. Actually, there's two on top, and then there's these two on the bottom are also just kind of chilling there with the ability to move around, which is no good. Look at that, it's just totally loose. So that definitely needs to get taken care of in some capacity, both of these. That's the only trouble point that I see. Everything else seems to be pretty well tied down, especially on this side. Everything looks really good over here. Piece of plastic here that's disintegrated, but everything else looks good. Yeah, windings are in nice shape still. But it's interesting, even with that much dust, it still does not show any signs of running excessively hot. I'm not even sure the varnish would hold that in place well enough. Well, I'm definitely going to put a tie wrap on there. Maybe I'll put a little bit of varnish too. Let's see. Let's see how it secures down. It can't go all the way up. Wow, that's terrible. I think we're going to do both. We're going to do a cable tie in, we're going to do some varnish. So I've separated these two wires from each other so they won't vibrate against each other. But then we still got these two on the top to deal with. Alright, that's good for that. We'll take this into the garage and we'll spray some varnish. And then we'll clean up the shaft. It's all very dry dust, very easy to clean up. A little bit bearing there. We'll spray some varnish here in the garage, then I'll go inside for a few minutes to let it clear out. Alright, that should be all we need to fix the problems that were there. Alright, now we'll clean the shaft off. We've got an arrangement of thrust washers here. It's like just two on either side, with the smaller or the thinner one facing inwards, and then two of these things. And there actually is still oil on the shaft after all these years. Decent amount of it too. That's pretty impressive for how many hours this thing has on it. And while we can't say with absolute certainty, it's highly likely that this has never been oiled. Especially not having oil ports on the back. Somebody would have had to go through this procedure in order to oil it, and that's extremely unlikely. Oh, there's actually an additional washer in front of that one there. And there is in this one as well. I guess that's on both. All these pieces nice and clean. We'll clean the bearings. The other shell is out in the garage, so I'll have to do that one afterwards. We'll take the shaft into the garage as well and polish that on the drill press. Outy's clean. This didn't really have a bearing issue before, but it's always good to go through the bearings and clean out any dried lubricant and put in fresh lubricant. Now, bearing health is all about maintenance. If you get to the point where excessive wear starts to happen from lack of lubrication, you can't recover from that. So you have to prevent it. Very important. There's so much equipment I've worked on over the years that's just completely shot, which could have been salvaged by a couple drops of oil every few months. I shouldn't say completely shot. Worn and deteriorated beyond what it really can be recovered properly from. When the bearings get real bad, sometimes you can put thicker oil in there and that will stop the rattle for a little while, but it's never permanent. Okay, that's all clean. Now, this had no pre-existing bearing issue, so the bearings that shouldn't be bad. They're a little dirty, but nothing crazy. Alright, let's get that shaft cleaned up. This is vintage. You get something delivered? We are. I wonder if it's a high pressure sodium light. It very well might be. Or it could be a ripoff because it was sold on stinking Scam Bay. Got that in there pretty good. Whoa, that's way too much. Oh no! It just got all over the drill press. Okay, it looks pretty good. We'll clean the rear bearing out, put some fresh oil in, and we'll be all set with the motor. This back bearing is pretty dry. Fairly clean though. Let's get some oil in here. We'll use zooming spout. And what we want to do is put oil into the wicking material in between the bearing and the holder. So we're going to put it in here. And you can put a pretty decent amount too. It'll take 10-15 drops all the way around. It'll take a lot because it's very dry. It's not been oiled in a long time probably. And we'll do the same thing on the back. That oil is just soaking in there. Very, very dry. Now what we could do, if this ends up being a fan I'm going to use a lot, which I have my doubts based on the way it performs, but what I could do is take a nail and tap a hole in here and make my own oil port for easier service. Otherwise this has to be stripped apart like this every time it needs to be oiled. Which granted the intervals are pretty long. These motors can go quite some time without oil if you set them up correctly like we are now. Okay, so now the shaft is all oiled and ready to go back in place. Put the windings back into the shell. Hopefully they're interested in going in as easily as they came out. Seems to be so far. There's a flat spot that we can line up. Alright, here comes the trouble. We might just use the screws to winch it shut. That's assuming they even reach. Well, see, now we got trouble here. The stator is crooked inside the shell. And that's not going to do anybody any good. Especially not me. I'm glad I saw that before I tried to shut it. Yeah, this is going to be challenged to get this to close properly. It's going to be a good little challenge here. Alright, as long as we've got it down enough for the screws to grab, I'll push it the rest of the way with the screws. I might just have that. Let's see. No, we don't. Maybe I might try a rubber mallet on this. Now I think that we've got it down far enough for the screws to grab. I just hope that it stays straight in there, otherwise, well, it's fine so far. Just want to make sure that this does not start hitting the stator as this closes. As long as that doesn't happen, everything should be okay. I'm glad I put as much oil in there as I did. This is not something I want to open up anytime soon. Seems to be running pretty good. Put a hair of oil in here just for good measure. And that's it, we're done with the oil. I'm pretty content with that. We can try to clean this up a little bit with melamine foam. It's not too bad, but probably could get it better. We want to work very conservatively here with the water so that we don't get any water inside the motor itself. That would be very terrible. Ooh, of course it'll clean it up to look like new. Wow. Holy mackerel, look at that. This foam really is like a miracle product. Wow, that's amazing. And it just cleans with no effort at all. It just slides right over the surface and takes all the dirt off. It's just absolutely incredible. Wow. That looks great. It's like a stinking new motor. Seriously, it looks like a brand new motor. Well, let's see what kind of wonders that foam will work on the finish of the box. And then we'll clean the blades and we'll wait for the guard to finish and we'll be ready to reassemble. Got a holder thing for this now. Although that thing cost $10 stinking. I think that's outrageous. Being kind of cautious with this because I don't know if this will take the wording off or not. It might, and it's not worth losing the wording to try to make this clean. Gotta find a balance between cleaning it up and then damaging the wording. And I think we've found it. It's a lot better than it did, but the wording is untouched. Probably would have been shiny at one point. It's kind of getting there, but I don't want to risk taking the words off. Blade is kind of hard to hold. The hand that's with it. Well, somebody stuck something in this fan while it was running. It looks like it's got that circular scratch pattern on it. That's a bummer. But this is taking the dirt out of the scratches pretty well. It's got paint splatter on it, and it's stupid gray paint, so this is almost certainly used in some kind of uglification project and then discarded. What a way to go out. Well, it can live a second life here in its original beauty in my collection. There was an older television set, it was one of those big rear projection ones, in the pile of stuff that was with us on the curb, so that probably was part of the room. I hadn't moved out yet at the time, so I had nowhere to put it if I got it. I've salvaged a lot of equipment over the years, but you can't salvage everything. looks like the dishwasher is wrapping up its cleaning process. We'll be wrapping up this cleaning process in about maybe 10 to 15 minutes. Light brown water coming out of there, so that's a good sign. Alright, now for the box, which will be probably the dirtiest part. I should probably go get a new piece of foam for this. Yeah, I'll go over everything real quick and then get a new one to finish it off. It is still working, but it can't possibly be working as good as it would have been. Actually, it looks like I cleaned up everything just fine. Where it's not rusted. It's got some tape on it for some reason. I wonder if that was for something with the cord. Maybe to hold the cord in place. The only thing I could think of is maybe if the cord was broken, but I don't, it doesn't look like it. Yeah, this is not going to be a very nice looking fan unless we repaint it. But it'll work. It'll be working pretty good though. This is pretty bad with the rust on the bottom. This really should be paint should be stripped off and redone. mostly rust in the cabinet. It's not really going to look any better. That's all this rust. That's unfortunate. This must have lived in a basement for a while. Somewhere that was damp. Yeah, that paint's just too far gone. Too much rust. Nothing they can really do to make this look right without repainting it. Well, that's okay. We'll make it much better today. And then we can make it even better some other day. Well, what's left of the paint cleaned up very nicely, but there's not much left of it. This has got to work a little better now that it's been cleaned up. It was moving practically no air before. It's got to be at least a little better, I would think. It took a lot of dust off of those blades. Okay, so actually it's not too bad. The inside's awful, but the outside, it's more presentable than it was before. It's a good candidate for a repaint for sure. Too bad everything didn't clean up like the motor did. That's really nice. Alright, so the motor, I believe this stuff needs to feed through here first. And let's see, which holes are going to line up? It looks like imagine it goes something like that. Or does it go like that? It goes like that, perhaps. Alright, those two holes are lining up. But something doesn't seem quite right. Well, I guess let's put these bolts in at least halfway first, and then we'll go from there. See where they line up. So it was on these two holes like this. Or at least that's where the indentation of the paint sure looks like it. Yeah, it's got to be there. That pulled the motor the rest of the way shut, all the way around. Messed up the alignment. That's no surprise. Well, I think that's the first time I've ever successfully removed and reinserted wires from a switch like this multiple times. I'm going to put a non-rusty screw. Actually, no, that's got its own separate screw. I was using the wrong screw entirely. Was I? Where did this go to? That's the capacitor screw. Try to put the least rusty screw in here. What the heck? Well, I guess I was not successful in reworking this switch, because now it is not turning. Come on, we've come this far and it's going to screw up now? Some type of problem with the screw. I think these screws are all the same size, right? Yeah. What the heck? Yeah, it's the right number. No, I guess we'll just put it in loosely. It's already too much. That's bizarre. Okay, so we're gonna have to put some washers there. Let's see if I have any washers on hand. Maybe just a shorter screw. Now this may cause its own array of problems, but let's try this. Put some washers in between. Well, now the switch doesn't go down because the washers are too big, so we're going to have to, let's see, what else can we do to fix this? Maybe we could wrap a piece of wire around the screw to make a space. Okay, I think that will solve the problem. That solved the problem. I don't understand why that problem existed, but it did. I just realized that this knob has an indicator line on it, but that will never point to anything other than high. That's stupid. This knob must have been used on multiple fans, and Lasko was too cheap at the time to make a different knob for this one. That's kind of funny. We can put those washers back. We don't need that for this time. This is only a 2 microfarads capacitor, and it seems to still be perfectly good. Seems like it's easy enough to replace and or test if we ever needed to. I don't know what this material is, but it feels like it could break any soon. Okay, well, let's see if it still works. I hope it does after all that. Wish I could say I was making that up. It doesn't work anymore. Alright, this is exactly what I was afraid of. It's got to be an issue with that switch, because as I said previously, I seldom have good results with removing wires from the switches and putting them back. Now it works. Alright, this is the most unreliable fan I've ever worked on. Hold on. I think it is the cord right there. Because it was... Let's take that. I want to take that strain relief off. I bet there's a problem here, and that's probably why it was taped up like that. I don't necessarily see a problem, but it doesn't mean it's not hidden on the inside there. These strain reliefs can be very difficult to remove. There's not really a good procedure that I'm aware of to get these off other than just to brute force them through. And there's the tripod kick for the video. Always got to have one of those. I bet there's a break in the cord inside the strain relief. It's not super uncommon. It's ironic because this piece that's supposed to protect the cord is actually ruining the cord because the thing is too tight. Okay, let's open this up and see what's going on here. Well, it looks totally fine. I don't see any kind of break at all. So now I'm comfortable flexing it while it's turned on to see if it stops working. And I didn't want to do that in case it might create a short and screw everything up. Okay, so now it's not working. Yep, there's a break in the cord. And that explains the tape. Okay. Well, at least now we know. I'm glad actually that we know what the problem was, because now we can fix it and not have it anymore. The things people do with electrical equipment just never fails to amaze me. How dangerous is that to take a cord that is only making connectivity in one particular position and tape it in place where it holds? Yeah, I can't even with that. And yet there's people all over the world doing stuff like that on a daily basis. this cord is already ridiculously short, so I'm going to repair it in a way that takes out the least amount of length as possible. If I revisit this someday, I'll probably just replace the cord with a new one. I don't like that crimp tool. I gotta get a vintage one. I don't feel like it does a good job. I've never been too fond of these, this type of strain leaf. I feel like it really ruins the cords, and this is a good example of that happening. This just puts the wire under so much tension. I really don't like the way these work. And they're in millions of appliances, but I just don't like them. I feel like there's got to be a better way to do this. I have to push this so much further on to actually get this in here. It's ridiculous. I think these things are absolute insanity. No wonder the wire broke. And the amount of force that this is under right now is totally absurd. But this is how it is. This is how these work. I think they're totally outrageous. I feel that way every time I come across one. Okay, it's in place. This whole crimp apparatus here is not great, but like I said, when we revisit this, we'll just replace the whole cord and then all this flakiness can go away. Alright, so now it should work reliably. It'd be interesting to cut this wire open to see how it actually broke. It doesn't feel like it's broken, but obviously it's broken. Actually, it does feel kind of weak in that pivot right there. I don't know, we'll see. Maybe we'll check it out. Good. Problem solved. Okay, so now this has been repaired. We know what was wrong with it and we fixed it. That's the way I like it to be done. Let's see if it moves any more air now. It's got to move a little bit more air. Although I've heard that these things in general just aren't very good. Oh, it's better. It's definitely better. It still seems like it's an aerodynamics disaster, but it's definitely better. It's out of balance. That's just typical for a Lasko product. Bearings are happy. Alright, well now we wait for the dishwasher to complete and then we can put the guards on. Alright, here's the guards. They didn't come out that good. Maybe I'll put them through again a second time. But let's just put the thing together so we can see how it operates. I'm very curious. Well, we have a spare part. No, actually we're missing parts. I think it was missing a few screws. It looks so much better than it did before. Well, not the best aesthetics, but the electrical problem was solved and repaired, and the motor's in good shape, so it's got that going for it at least. Perfectly good from a mechanical perspective. Alright, let's see how this works. It's a pretty cool looking fan. It's a shame these didn't work better. Oh, that's not bad at all. Huh. I mean, it's not great, but it's not like some of that stuff that we've come across that literally moves nowhere at all. This is not extremely impressive, but it's certainly moving air. I thought these were just like a total waste. Oh, this isn't too bad. It's okay. I would use it. It's good enough to use. Actually, I think it moves more air with the guard on, which is kind of weird. The air doesn't travel very far, but it'll do something in the window. Night and day operation, though, it's hardly moving any air at all. Now it's not super powerful, but it's moving air now. It's pretty strong right up close, but the air does not travel anywhere. I'd say within 2 or 3 feet it really starts to diminish. Maybe 4 to 5 feet it starts to diminish. I can feel it across the room, but it's kind of... air movement's very weird. There's definitely something wrong with the aerodynamics. Actually, I can feel it across the room. You know, I actually don't think this is all that bad. I was told by another collector, I forget who said this, but someone said these are terrible. It's not what it should be, but I don't think it's terrible. It's one of the few fans that will actually fit in my windows. Well, I think we're going to balance it, repaint it, and use it a lot in the windows. The aerodynamics are totally wrong. You can hear it. It's like the air is like pushing back and bouncing around in there. The air output's kind of choppy. So it's an aerodynamics complete disaster, but it does work. It does move acceptable amount of air, I suppose. I don't really know what you would compare these to. Like there's like 20-inch box fans. We know there's certain ones. This is a good one. This one stinks. With these, what's our reference point for a 14-inch box fan? I don't really know. Certainly there has to be better ones than this, but I actually don't think this is all that bad. And I'm glad I took the time to clean it up and fix it, because I will use it. I'll use it in the windows. Yeah, this isn't too bad actually. I can probably print out a logo to stick on there to make it look a little nicer. There's a notable difference in the air movement between low and high. I like it. For free? Definitely.